Hi, my name is Damian Edwards.
Wow, you changed a lot. You're in makeup.
I just changed my outfit. No, hi everybody. We just kicked Damian out, so there's no longer an adult in the room, which means that you can ask all of your spicy questions. I'm Maddy.
David.
You've already seen Fowler. He's been here for the
You
last.
see our shirts?
Yeah, do you see? Oh,
I
wait.
mean, the bottom is so big because it says right YAML at the top.
Yeah. So
Friends don't let friends right YAML.
YAML. Because you can use a fire instead.
Yeah.
That's why.
See the logo?
And so we have been monitoring and asking for questions. This is technically called the Fowler and Maddy Unplugged, Unhinged session, which is why we kicked Damian out, because he would answer the questions meaningfully.
Too seriously.
Love you. But really what this is I'm going to start asking Fowler spicy questions about Aspire. And maybe there will be ones I could contribute to. Mostly by making fun of him for when he doesn't tell the truth. And there's already a bunch. So I'm going to jump right into it. And you can keep asking in the YouTube chats and in the Twitch chat and on the Aspire Discord, aka.ms/Aspire-Discord.
Pretty
good, right?
Pretty good.
And Blue Sky and
Blue Sky, Twitter, Twitch.
So we'll see. We have the wonderful Tags app as well. Oh my gosh. And Pine's in the chat already. David Pine mentioned Bingo Square already checked off. Okay. First and foremost, we had a good question last night in the Discord. How did it all start, Fowler? How did the whole idea come from?
Aspire?
Yeah, Aspire. No. .net. No,
Aspire was, I would say, we had a project called TIE years before Aspire, 2019. And a set of us kind of went off and spent, I want to say, like a Christmas break, not working obviously, trying to learn Kubernetes and figure out like what was there for DevX. And we were looking at all the tools that existed, looking at all the things, and it felt as though there was a gap between the tools that were existing and what developers needed to make it like easy to build these more complex apps. And TIE was an exploration, and it was an experiment we shipped. And it kind of had a lot of elements of Aspire, but what I would say is Aspire felt like the right version of TIE, right? It was, man, we learned some stuff from doing TIE. We learned some edges. We learned about what people want for local DevX, and Aspire ended up being like a culmination of ideas from TIE, ideas from inside Microsoft, ideas from things like Compose and Kubernetes, and it was an amalgamation of, given you have all this stuff now, what's hard? I want to say 5 of us went into a room and we spent like maybe a day with lunch.
Yeah.
And we put on the whiteboard, what is the hardest thing about deving and deploying like cloud apps? Because at that time it was just about cloud, right? And one of the key things was configuration is really hard to model. And like you typically have scripts that aren't well defined, and you kind of mishmash different things together to kind of get the end-to-end working. And the human orchestrates like the GitHub action and the YAML file for Kubernetes and the Compose file for local dev and 5 more scripts. And the impetus was like, if we could model that end-to-end experience like in something that had more structure, then we could build better tooling around it. So that was the I think the key insight that helped us kind of like push through with the app host.
Yeah.
And that was the key thing.
Yeah. And that was before my time that you guys had all these meetings too.
It was.
And so I was still on the Maui team. And when I started looking more into Aspire and you guys had started talking about it, I was like, what are they saying? Like, they're just saying words. They're just saying cloud native.
Yep.
And that was part of the reason I came over here, is because I was so angry with how you were describing it. Because once I actually understood what you were trying to build, I was like, oh, like, this is so smart.
Yeah.
What are you saying?
To be fair, we didn't really know
Yeah.
how useful it would be for general purpose stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
As an example, the Maui extension that got added in like Aspire 13.
Yeah.
When the idea came about, like we tried to support for Maui, we were all like, no.
You said to me, why would a mobile developer need
Yeah.
a cloud native orchestrator? I go, every mobile app has a backend. And you were like, that's a good point.
It just never occurred to us that it would be useful. Even though we knew people would ask, like, can we launch Winforms apps? We were like, what?
Yeah, like why?
But it turned out to be a really good general purpose dev tool
Yeah.
for like building onboarding experiences. So like that became one of our key things, right? Like
Yeah.
you want to onboard someone, you model all the stuff in code, and then like you don't have to tell someone run this script, run that script, pass the output from this script to that script, string
Yeah.
together stuff. Like you can just kind of like put it in code.
Yeah.
Have it there. Right.
Which you just totally walked yourself into a spicy question
Oh my
that we
God.
get a lot. So sorry.
Just for dev.
Behave. You mentioned IIS and like, you know, WinForms and all these things. We've been saying Aspire's polyglot, but we're talking about different languages. We're not
Yeah.
talking about .NET Framework or IIS or F Sharp, which is funny because we're at .NET Conf, right? So you'd think we'd be like, oh my gosh, everything works. Why? And has this been like an easy decision? Is .NET just dead? Is that what this is? Or like, why are you allowed to say like, no, we're not going to do work for IIS?
So I'll start with the IIS, then I'll go to polyglot, then I'll kind of bring it around.
You'll do the whole.
So when we first started, we were solely focused on trying to figure out like bigger apps that weren't just database and app. So in the previous talk I was saying, it's not just for big apps. When we started off, we were thinking about eShop, like super big, multi-repo, single app per microservice, different teams. That was the initial thought process. And IIS just does not play in that space, right? Like it can, but for the most part, we were thinking modern containers, Kubernetes. That kind of drove a lot of our design decisions super early on about what we were going to do first. I'm actually pretty happy we didn't do a lot of different things first because we changed the design fundamentally about 4 times around deployment. So I would say it's not a never IIS, it's a not no, because we're really thinking about modern container-based platforms, and it helps us build things like I want to use like Redis, right, and my app. And if you were going to deploy to IIS, like, are you going to still run Docker for Redis? Like, are we doing these hybrid deployments? And I think those questions came up really early on. It just wasn't a thing the team cared about solving super early on.
Yeah.
I think now that we understand the primitives that are exposed and how to extend it, I think it's a better combo to have about like, could we support IIS? Could it just work? What would be the edges?
Or how do we enable someone in the community to build it, right? Like, because that's so much of what we've supported is not stuff that we've built. Like the community toolkit is just so self-sufficient, besides Aaron on our team, who had 159 build errors to fix after we shipped.
And as a platform team, we spend a lot of time figuring out if to build experiences or if to build the thing to enable the experiences. So I think that plays into why we did ACA first for Azure and why we did kind of like one vertical, just to figure out what are all the pieces to solve before we kind of fan out to like 10 different things.
Right.
Because you do a bad job everywhere instead of doing a good job in one place.
Right.
And then the polyglot stuff is really funny. F Sharp is funny because we got a pull request to add support for F Sharp. I think we merged it.
We did?
We did merge it for the CLI to find FS Proj for the app host.
That's pretty funny.
Polyglot happened naturally because a lot of .NET developers have JavaScript front ends. So we had our Node.js integration was the highest after Redis.
Yeah.
So it was like
Redis, which is in the template.
In the template, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of pulled us, like every release we would be seeing more and more usage and people asking more and more, how do I do a Vite front end and a blah back end or like whatever, React or Vue, and that kind of nudged us towards inching into what would it mean to kind of have more first class support for things that aren't .NET and C#. And then we had a team internally at Microsoft like ask for Python, and I think we had very early basic support. It was like you could run it locally, but then I think we said to ourselves, okay, if we want to be serious about multiple languages, we have to do 2 things. One is like do one fully end to end that wasn't .NET, right? So Python, pick one, right? And then have a template and then build the end to end and flesh out all the problems. So it may look as though, you know, whatever, we chose Python, why Python, why not F Sharp? What picking one language did was help us figure out all the things required to do any language. So we have a contributor who's building a Perl integration, and the Perl integration isn't just about adding support for Perl. It is he's kind of gonna they're gonna slot into all the things we figured out to add Python. So that kind of informs the platform team on what do we need to build in the core to support any language.
Yeah.
So,
and we're like, I guess ruthless prioritization is really the word, because we don't have a big team and we have a lot of things we can do. And
Copilot.
so, yeah, I mean, Copilot, of course, Power.
But yes, that's true.
But yeah, so we're going for building verticals that make sense, so that they're, we're not just doing a bunch of things poorly, but we want to get the biggest customer value now that we've proved out some of these primitives.
Yeah.
And so like JavaScript was a very natural extension for us because so many .NET developers have JavaScript front ends with .NET backends, and Python was a very natural extension point because of AI.
Yep.
And Aspire makes developing AI apps so much easier.
It does.
And yeah, so
one fun thing is we did the Python support in 13. And that took it took us the whole week to figure out all the edges, all the warts, all the problems in the platform to make it all work well. And then in the last 2 weeks before shipping, one of our engineers just took all the JavaScript work, the work of Python, and applied to JavaScript.
Yeah.
Because we had figured out all the hard problems.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, now we understand these 10 things. Just do it in JavaScript. And we made it all work in both. And that's kind of the key thing for how we build these features. Python wasn't just Python. Python was like this system over here. And now we can do Python, JavaScript, Go, Rust, and it will all look the same and it will all be consistent. And
right.
Yeah. So
we found the overlap between Python and .NET, and then we applied that overlap. Yeah.
Exactly.
Lots of love for the dashboard, as always. When were we going to get persistence for logs, traces, and metrics?
As soon as James responds to my message last night.
Yes. That is actually the answer. That was, we said last night, we said, all right, it's time. Let's stop putting it off.
We'll do it.
And another one I saw was, wait, I screenshotted this one so I didn't lose it because I'm smart. How do I tell things to keep running when I close the dashboard?
Oh, there's an API for that.
There is?
For what?
So this is a question from tests.
You can make containers keep running.
Right. Can I tell my JavaScript apps to keep running?
Not yet. So we have persistent containers, not persistent executables. We are gonna add those because we actually want the dashboard to be itself persistent. I think people that are used to writing tests by doing compose up and then kind of running tests and having it persist, the app post isn't designed for that kind of like interaction yet. But we're gonna add more and more pieces to enable that end to end eventually. But it's not one-to-one the way you would run it typically in that universe. So yeah, eventually we'll do it.
Good answer. I like that. This one's from Andrew from Discord last night.
Yeah.
What has been the most challenging thing to design or architect since Aspire started?
The resource model. So when we first started off,
that's a good one.
It seemed simple. We had this model you would build. You would say like add project, add database, add blah, and you would wire it together, and then you would hit go, and it would run. And then you would publish, and we translate that into a manifest. And that seemed simple. And then we started to get into like wait fors and dependencies. And one of the biggest things we realized, I think like halfway through, was we need the model to be we need this. We currently have this one shot. You can only build once. You can't add a resource after it started kind of behavior. We want to enable like hot reload. We want to enable where you can run the app host and never kill it, and it just always updates the dashboard in real time. And that requires a fundamental change in how we thought about the one pass build. We need to be able to kind of add things on the fly, change the model, have it react to changes. So I think we initially thought a lot of the design we had in the beginning were like, there's an event that happens once that says all your endpoints are allocated for every single resource, and that turned out to be not true.
Yep.
What we're ending up with is, for those who know, like Kubernetes has a model called reconciliation loops. So we're kind of ending up with a super asynchronous model in what we built. And it's funny, a couple of devs on the team like said we would, and we were all like, nah, that's too complex. We won't have that. But I think that component of the end-to-end has been a really challenging, like, how do you evolve it in place given the things we did early on? There's a lot of things like that we built in the app that are just tough to design.
Yeah.
I would say networking. We have these meetings called hard problems.
Every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday, and we
5 to
sit
8
for
Eastern.
4 hours, right? And we just like hash out something super difficult. Memorable ones that were actually difficult, and where we sat down, we couldn't like decide.
Co-pilot and the dashboard.
Yeah, the co-pilot and the dashboard was an interesting one. The pipelines one. So okay, that one was fun because this release was 6 weeks, 6 weeks. I don't know how long it was. And in week 3, we sat, it was me, Safi, it's all us in the room, and we designed the new pipeline feature on a Wednesday, and it was merged on Saturday.
Bananas.
And like
bananas.
We literally replatted all the deployment, all of it, on top of this brand new feature that we designed. And I think we kind of knew something was gonna happen. We just weren't sure if we could pull it off in a short time frame. So I think there's a lot of...
And this was the 4th iteration of deployment.
Yes.
So like we had been trying and experimenting, and people have been using it. Like we know a lot of you have been using it. And so, you know, we've been keeping it in preview this whole time because we kept saying, this doesn't feel right yet. And we're going to keep doing this until it feels right.
Yeah.
But we're closer than ever.
Yeah.
So
we're pretty close now.
Yeah. That actually, the resource model thing always reminds me of a question we get a lot, and I've seen a few times in the chat. Like, what do I do if I'm not in one repo? You know, this like multi-repo thing. We haven't really published any official guidance on it. Our answers are always like, there's one GitHub discussion we always go back to, and it's
super
like,
long.
Yeah, there's like a lot of, it's a lot of, it depends, you know, do submodules, do this, do that, do this, do that. Why don't we have an app host and an app host yet?
So that has come up so many times.
Yes.
Even internally. For multi-repo, for being able to isolate shared dependencies. I think that is inevitable now. I want to say our initial stance on like, why do you need the tool to kind of like clone the repo for you and set it up? But I do think it kind of gels with the whole like just do a Spire run and it just works. Our stance has changed a lot on a lot of things because of how we think about the tool.
Yeah.
So having like, once we had the Aspire CLI and we had this kind of common entry point for launching the app and deploying it and doing those kinds of things, I think it helped us see Aspire more as a tool than like the app framework. Initially, it felt more like an app framework, and people would say things like, "Oh, I gotta change my app to make it work with Aspire." And we'd be like, "You drop an app post." Before it felt way more invasive because you had like service defaults, and you had
about that as like the first thing to do.
First thing you would see.
Which now it's more like the cherry on top.
Yeah, actually, Maddy had this like moment. I'll give you your flowers. A moment where she said she was trying to figure out what she wanted to say, and she said, "I think init is more important because you're gonna walk up to an existing app more often than not." So we have, you know, Aspire new projects. That's fine if you're greenfield and you want to do a brand new app and you want to see Aspire and see how it works. But init is where you're going to spend most time. So we should optimize for init.
Yeah.
Less new. And
like you're going to make the JavaScript app first. And then you're going to be like, oh, I want to add Aspire to this. You're not going to start with the tool.
Right. And what she said was, nobody wants to run Aspire and you to create a Vite app. You're going to use the Vite app creation tool.
God, I'm so smart.
And you're going to use .NET templates. And then you want to have Aspire come in on the outside and just say like, that's my front end, that's my back end, and you can kind of wire it together after the fact. So I think that changed our model for thinking about Aspire is non-intrusive, and it is this one file that describes your entire app in a single place, and you can run it, and it goes, right?
Yeah. Wow, that was one of my more insightful moments. Adam was the first person, Adam on our team, who built the VS Code extension, by the way, which is out. It's actually release. It's not just pre-release, although we're going to be updating the pre-release all the time. So ride that as long as you can. He was quick on the draw. Who wins most of our debates?
Me.
No. First of all, the correct answer is Damien.
Damien does win a lot.
Mostly. But
it's never,
that's not fun.
But it's never at the same time.
No.
Maybe you'll win it in the future.
You and me, though, I would say you win more debates in the moment. I am right more. But I'm right more.
No, definitely not.
So sometimes we fight just for fun.
Every now and then I will admit that she had a good idea, like a really good idea.
Yeah.
A killer.
The problem is you're so smart that like I have to disprove you like in my own time, and then I can come back and present the evidence. But it takes a lot of work.
It's good. We push each other.
We do.
Different directions.
And Damien's the adult.
Yes.
Make sure we don't break anything. Okay. A good question from Marco, who I actually got to meet when I was in Portugal, which was awesome. Cool. Yeah.
Who, Marco?
Blue Marco.
Right,
Yeah, with the blue
I
house
don't know
with the
his
little
face,
book
but I
hat.
see him in
Yeah.
Discord.
He was just a very nice, normal dude, and I was like, oh.
He
He was
was
like, I'm Marco, and I was like, which is another good question that we get a lot. The dashboard, especially right after we launched, we had a lot of things that like Aspire's, I don't use Azure, I don't deploy, blah, 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 blah. And we were like, no, dev only, dev only. Like we totally changed how we messaged it because there was this like weird over thing.
Yeah.
So his question was, the dashboard was first advertised as development only, but now we also see it deployed to production. What are your plans to extend this even further? And I'll add to that, like, is it a production dashboard? What does that mean, deployed to production?
So when we were doing Aspire, like the first year, the dashboard would catch everyone's eye. And we showed it internally to a bunch of different people. And the thing that people that worked at other companies would always say was that when we deployed our sites at X, there was always this dashboard you would hit on the actual app in production. That wasn't the one that was our overarching system for telemetry, but it was the is it working dashboard. It was the real time, like I deployed and stuff isn't working, the container isn't running. I don't want to wait like 10 hours to see my telemetry because it's going to be ingested from the super big cluster. The dashboard plays this really weird and interesting niche where it is like the best thing for local, so you want to use it locally. But then when you deploy, it's not like your super mega storage cluster system that is like essentially doing telemetry at scale is you're gonna implement a database.
Yeah.
Essentially, you're doing querying, you're doing storage, you're doing all these cool things at scale. So you want to use systems designed for those. Like you want to use APM tools for like big logs and big clusters. It plays this really weird niche where the Aspire dashboard is super useful for real-time telemetry. So if you want to go see why your app deploy failed, typically every single like environment will have console logs, right? And no one says, why are console logs like not my at-scale telemetry? Because there's different systems.
Yeah.
You're using the logs to see what just happened. I pushed my container image, I got an exception. I saw my container image didn't pull properly because I didn't have credentials. There's all this just-in-time debugging you do, and you want a quick way to see the logs and see information. And that is not my at-scale Custo or my at-scale APM system.
Yep.
So I think we're going to see it in this pretty weird spot where people want it to be Elasticsearch and they want it to be Honeycomb and they want it to be, different APMs.
Yeah.
But I think it will live in this really strange niche where we'll say things like it's optimized for local and it will work for small deployments and it will work for real time, like small telemetry. But if you want like storage for your telemetry across like 50 apps, you're never going to use the dashboard. It's never going to be good for that. So I think you'll see us tweak what we say, but it is definitely optimized for local.
Yeah. It's just, like there are so many good production dashboarding tools. We're not going to try and build another one. That's a huge like onion peeling exercise. So a lot of mortified people in the chat about our hard problems meeting.
Nice.
How does Maddy cope with them?
So good.
I pace, or I have and for me it's 5 p.m.
You haven't seen Aspire Fridays? Maddy just like it's like this all the time.
I just
this and like this. She's like this.
I pace. I get a lot of snacks, and I will say like that is one of the highlights I think of the week. We actually don't do a lot of meetings because our team is super distributed. Like we have folks in Australia and Singapore. We have East Coast, West Coast. We have in Redmond, not in Redmond, and so we do one like weekly kickoff meeting on Mondays where we get together and we're like, all right, that's what we got to do this week. We do a lot of one-off things.
We're very in teams.
Yeah, we do a lot of like async communication, but this is our like, people bring difficult problems and we're all really excited about solving difficult things. So it's a very high energy meeting. There's always a lot of arguments and demos and like discussions. And so it's actually super interesting. And if I can't follow the meeting, like I'm a PM, I'm not going to listen to you and other David talk about networking for 4 hours. So I'll just leave, or I'll leave it on in the background like a podcast. And then some of them, like the JavaScript one, I'm super involved in.
Yep.
And
one fun thing is our team is like very diverse in like opinions and how people think.
Backgrounds.
We drew on the board like the people who are like most practical and conservative, and the people who are most crazy, and kind of like they bring that energy to the meetings because like it's really fun to pair someone who's very pragmatic with someone who is like trying to like get us to do something insane.
Yeah, it's like we have a
Not
bunch of
fun.
mini U's and Damiens, and we've just cloned people in each cluster of it. Although one person, Mitch, on our team, he's so crazy, he's actually a genius. He's the only person on the team who transcends the crazy.
He goes way past the super genius sometimes.
So, okay, we're running out of time. We're out of time. I'm gonna ask one last question, which Marco also asked, which made me laugh. Do you ever sleep?
So I have a 1-year-old. So before that, the answer was no, but definitely no.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely not.
He doesn't sleep.
No.
He doesn't sleep.
I slept for 8 hours like twice this week. It was crazy.
It was the happiest
And I
ever.
felt so happy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was
Did
very
it
noticeable.
come out? Oh,
Yeah.
that's good.
So he seems like a plant. He needs to be fed and watered, and just like
I need food actually.
So, anyways, hopefully this was valuable. I know this isn't the usual session format you expect from a .NET Conf. Definitely join the Discord, AKMS Aspire, AKMS/Aspire Discord /dash. Reach on GitHub and all the things, and yeah, we'd love to hear from you. Hopefully, you're enjoying the slightly rebranded Aspire this week, and
Yay!
yeah, that's it.